Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to our Sunday night live stream. Nothing better than talking some Texas football on a Sunday night. I'm like Tom Longhorn, Rod Davis. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton. We got a lot to get into on the show, of course. Lots of recruiting talk. So we'll start out talking about the this past weekend, the official visitors that were on campus for Texas. We'll also dive into some other topics, Texas football related. But whatever you guys want to get into, questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Shout out to our sponsors, Prize Picks and Von Lane. We'll tell you more about them coming up later on in the show. All right, Jerry, let's dive right into it before we dive into questions and some other stuff. The weekend for Texas, the official visitors that were on campus. What do you think kind of were the highlights and really the headlines, the main themes coming out of this past weekend for Texas?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing to me was a couple of things. Defensively, there's two defensive linemen from Mississippi on OVs. Ben Javarius Shoemaker, I think's dynamite prospect. Now he's an Ole Miss commit. Texas is battling. It's Texas Ole Miss. He's going to visit Colorado this weekend. I think Colorado could have the highest NIL offer out of this. We'll see. And then Mitchell Turner out of Louisville, Mississippi, who those two recruitments could be a little different. Mitchell Turner maybe end up being more closer to home potentially, which would put Alabama and Ole Miss in front of Texas. He does visit Mississippi State this weekend. So if it goes down that path, Shoemaker, I think, is definitely more willing to go farther from home, despite being an Ole Miss commit. Doesn't mean he will. But when you're battling for two defensive linemen out of the state of Mississippi, battling for one is a chore. Kenny Baker's battling for two, and one's committed to Ole Miss. So those are real. Then Israel Hammond, who we're going to watch right now, and I want your thoughts on him, Rod, he's out of Choctaw, Oklahoma. Raise your hand if you've ever seen Texas sign a player out of Choctaw, Oklahoma. No hands. This guy's a hell of a football player, but this is going to come down to he told Hank South and CJ today, June 19th is going to be his commitment date. This is Oklahoma State or Texas. He left in Utah and Kentucky and Vanderbilt, but this is an Oklahoma State, Texas decision, and a guy that Will Muschamp and the Texas defensive staff love, Rod, as a guy that can play off-ball linebacker. He can also play that overhang linebacker because he can't get after the quarterback. But I hadn't asked you, we haven't been on a show where he talked about him. What are your thoughts on him as a player? Because I think this guy's underrated nationally. If I told you he was ranked around 200 in America, I think he's a top 100 level kid in the country.
Yeah, I'm with you though, Jerry. I love him. Instincts wise, you said he's a ball player. That's exactly what I put in my notes. It's kind of what you want from your modern day linebacker is an athlete, a ball player, kind of cosplaying linebacker. That's what this young man does. Great instinct. So you can see him have kickoff returns on this film a couple of times. He's blocked. I think blocks a kick in this video as well. You can see he plays offense as well. So I think he's a great ball player. So he's got really good instincts. I love the fact that he's a downhill disruptor. I wrote that in my notes too. I mean, he should be on the attack because he is violently aggressive on the attack downhill. I mean, you can see sometimes he just shell shocks opposing offensive linemen. He doesn't even really put a move on him. He's just so aggressive toward his target. His pursuit is great too. Takes great angles to the football. That's important to me as a linebacker as well. But I love him. Really impressive speed too for a guy's size. What is he? 220. He's already 220 something. So he's already bigger than both.
He ran 11,300 meters as a freshman. That's back when he was like 6'1", 195. He's considerably bigger now, but still, he put up 11.3 as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, as a linebacker type of player. So good basketball player, plays above the rim. Marco Mendez said it great. Moves smoothly but aggressively around blockers. Yeah. And he'll take on blockers too. So it's like I'm a big fan of this guy. We'll see what Texas does with this one. It's Texas or Oklahoma State. I think something interesting about this recruitment, Rod, is while he's 20, 25 minutes east of Oklahoma City, he's more of a small town kid. And his host was Ty Anthony Smith. And the fact that Ty Anthony Smith hosted him tells you Texas is battling maybe how big Austin and how big UT is for a kid. He's Oklahoma City's not small, but it's still Ty Anthony Smith was committed to A&M. Part of the reason he committed to A&M was a little smaller environment. So it's obvious with Ty Anthony hosting him that Texas is thinking, okay, this could be a potential holdup for us on this kid. So that is something that Texas, I think, is trying to work around. Is that, man, UT's big, Austin's
Getting bigger.
getting bigger, right? And so I think they got the right guy hosting him, because Ty Anthony has excelled in Austin and at UT. And I think when he was being recruited, him and the people in his circle wondered about that a little bit. And it's been proven out that, look, after Jimbo got whacked and he flipped from A&M to Texas, he's excelled in Austin and Texas.
Yeah, I can see that. Even in my day, that was a thing. Some guys were, comfortable in metropolitan environments, and some guys were comfortable in kind of a more kind of country environment where it's outside the big city. And Austin was it wasn't a big city back then. Yeah. But now it is. I do get that now. Like Austin, it feels different.
I mean, look, and if you just look on Izzy Hammonds, he goes by Izzy's Instagram. He's in boots and in jeans, and he's country. He's country. He likes that country part of it. So that's something obviously that Texas thinks is something they're going to have to overcome to actually win this recruitment. We'll see which way it goes. Offensive line, Brian Swanson. Look, he's been a Texas lean for a while out of Dallas South Oak Cliff. Oklahoma and SMU have given it a really big run. I think Texas still led going into this visit. We'll see where this goes. But people have asked, hey, if there's one guy for Texas that they had a lead on going into this weekend, I said, well, it's Brian Swanson. The other is Montre Jackson, the corner out of Garland Lakeview, who was in this weekend. Then you have the other offensive tackle, Overshown was country. Yes, Marco Mendez. Mendez. Then you have the other offensive lineman in Caleb Seiler, which is going to be an interesting decision from Gunner. Grew up in Austin, has always been a Texas fan. Northwestern, we has him as a big-time Tier 1 recruit for them. And he would be on a more of a Trevor Gooseby path at Texas. Could be an NIL difference there. So that one will be interesting because he was a later offer, because he's been a bit of that junior late riser. He's always been a big kid, but the frame's starting to fill out now. He's looking more athletic on the field as a junior. At Gunner, one of the best small town prospect or programs in the state of Texas now. So that one will be an interesting decision between Texas and Northwestern. I think he's got to bet on himself and bet on his development if he picks Texas over Northwestern. I think Northwestern has made him a priority one for a while.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there, Jerry. I want to get to ask you about this Easton Royal.
Oh, yeah.
Recruitment as well. I know he's still taking some visits and even took a visit. I want to get to that here in a second. We got a super chat really quickly. Super chats always get priority, so I want to get to my man Brandon super chat. Thank you very much, Brandon. We appreciate the super chat. It says Rod and Jerry, if everything can click together, what are the odds against this schedule we can win it all, even into the playoffs against tougher talent? Yeah, I mean, this team should be a champion. I expect this team to get to the playoffs and make a playoff run. By run, I mean win more than one game. That's a run. I would be disappointed, and I would think it was a disappointment if they didn't win multiple games in the postseason. But to your point about making it click all together, ideally, we'll talk about this later on too, because there are some projections about position groups for Texas and where they'll be ranked. But it's all about the O-line for me. Honestly, the O-line is the big issue for Texas, that it will potentially keep it from going deep into the playoffs and competing for a championship. That was their Achilles heel last season. That can't be the weakest part of your team and you go win a championship. It ain't gonna work like that. It don't work like that. In terms of you being a line of scrimmage league and having to go beat several teams who are definitely going to be loaded on the lines of scrimmage. Whoever you play, doesn't matter who you play in the playoffs, they're going to be loaded on the lines of scrimmage. And I think for Texas, that is their big hurdle this offseason, figuring out the O-line. The skill positions are as good as they've been at Texas in a long time. I'm trying to think the last time they've been misstacked across the board everywhere at the skill positions.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since they've been missed that.
I think my whole goal is to get into the playoffs and then let the chips fall where they may, because I think that's where we're at in college football. Look, Miami got in. Some people thought they should have been in. Some people thought they shouldn't. They get in and go to the national championship. Now, all you want to do is get in right now. You want to get – Ohio State got in 2 years ago, won the national championship. I mean, look, they were going to get in, but look, they didn't even play for their conference championship after they lost to Michigan, got upset against Michigan. They got in, then they go on the run and win the national championship. Miami almost did the same thing, if not for a late interception. Could have beat Indiana to win the national championship. So I think you just want to get in, but you need to be as healthy as possible when you get in. If you get in and you limp in, maybe that could be an issue for you if your health's an issue. But I have 3 areas I'm watching with this team, Rod. You hit on one, is offensive line. Secondary is my second one. And my third one is going to be kicker punter. And I don't think enough people are talking about kicker punter because they were so good in that area last year. Again, Mason Shipley didn't miss a field goal from 30 to 49 yards.
Yeah.
That didn't happen a lot. So that guy was money, even from the right hash. But then punter as well. I mean, Texas had a really good year punting the football as well. Yeah. And I think the secondary is just as much of a key as the offensive line. And I'll tell you why. Look at the quarterbacks Texas is playing. These guys are gonna make big time throws against Texas. And are you in position to make big time plays? Even as good as your pass rush may be, the secondary is going to be tested, I think, more than any year I can remember in recent memory because of the quarterbacks you're playing.
You got Sayin, you got Chambliss, you got Levitt on the schedule.
I mean, Mateer in year 2 at Oklahoma.
Mateer in year 2. No, you're right about that. Honest, yeah, nope, I'm with you. Just a good point.
I mean, look, whatever you think of Marcel Reed, he's in year 3. Yep. These guys are more experienced quarterbacks now. And then you have young guy like Kamario Taylor. You don't know what he's going to be, but you know he's pretty talented.
Yeah. Some people really like the Texas State kid. Was it Brad Jackson?
Yeah. Owen McCown will be in an NFL training camp as a free agent. Not that those teams are going to beat Texas, but you're going to be challenged at the quarterback position more on a week-to-week basis than I can remember at Texas in a schedule. It's been a while.
I agree with you on that, Jerry. That's a good point. And honestly, the wide receiver, you're going to face the best wide receiving room in the country. It has been, and best wide receiver you in college football history in Ohio State. With some people say the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in college football in decades or so. And then you'll have, honestly, that Texas State duo is not bad. It's 2,000-yard receivers. Just going to throw that out there. So we're talking about Texas State. But LSU's going to have some freaks on the outside. They'll challenge you too. Tennessee, Josh Heupel always has really good wide receivers.
Florida's got tremendous wide receivers. All
Crater at A&M.
All they've got to do is get the ball to the right spots against Florida. Florida's got some talented wide receivers.
Yes, they do.
They're going to test your secondary.
Hell, Malik Muhammad was one of the big. They just attacked. Malik Muhammad was out for that game last year. They just attacked that quarter spot. And honestly, was it Dallas Wilson? Was his name the receiver? Career day.
So Florida has Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown, who's really good in year 2 coming up. And then they added Eric Singleton, who's going to be one of the fastest players in the country to that group. And they can also hand the ball off to a top 3-round running back. Those receivers are going to test. It's just a schedule that's going to test the secondary.
In addition to that, Jerry, the offensive minds that you'll go up against too. You're going up against some really good offense. Now you're going to add Lane Kiffin to that mix as an offensive mind too. Who knows what Arthur Smith is going to be with Ohio State, but I do think for a Muschamp first year DC, he's got some of the better offensive minds out there too. He's got to match with as well.
Yeah. So, I actually think a great thing for the Texas secondary, Rod, is that Texas State and UTSA have competent quarterbacks. If it was just a meet at the quarterback and those guys weren't very good players, I don't think that helps Texas with the schedule they have. I like that Brad Jackson's a good player. I like that Owen McCown's going to be in an NFL training camp, whether he gets drafted late or not. Mm-hmm. They need to be tested early so Muschamp and these guys can see where they're at, and these defensive backs can say, ooh, we had really good coverage, and this McCown kid just made a throw under duress against us, because that's what the season's most likely going to be like.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I mean, I'll just say this, that I'm not into fantasy. I don't play a lot of fantasy college football, but I know a lot of friends who are really into fantasy. And I believe Brad Jackson, the quarterback from Texas State, because of the 2 wide receivers he has and that system he's in with G.J. Kinney, he's among like the top 3 to 4 highest drafted quarterbacks in college fantasy. If anybody about that kind of stuff, he's a dual threat too. Like he's really a really good dual threat quarterback. So
hey, by the way, I need to answer this question coming off the back of that. And then we're going to get to Eastern Royal. How many corn dogs will you eat with mayonnaise if Texas wins a national championship? I will eat corn dogs with mayo on coffee and football till I puke that day.
Oh, see?
And I'll eat them till I puke that morning.
Don't encourage him.
I'm going to go Joey Chestnut and eat them till I puke.
Don't do it. Don't encourage that behavior. Please don't. Please don't. Don't do it. I've never seen. I've heard about this. I've never actually watched it with Jerry. It does it.
I almost did it tonight to get you off guard, Rod.
No, please don't do it. Please don't. I can't take it. I don't like white condiments as it is. I don't consume any white condiments. I'm not joking. This is not a race thing at all. But I don't no ranch, no blue cheese, no mayo, no white condiments of any kind. And I don't know how long I've been like that, but as long as I can remember, I don't consume white. So that would really gross me out, Jerry. I'd be over here gagging.
Well, make sure you're on coffee and football that morning.
Oh man! All right, let's. All right, before we get to the Eastern Roll stuff, let's thank our sponsor, our friends over at Prize Picks, really quickly, and then we'll dive into that Eastern Roll conversation. Also, dive into some of your questions as well. But folks, if you're not picking with our friends over at Prize Picks, you're doing yourself a disservice. We appreciate them sponsoring our Sunday night live stream. But folks, they also can turn your sports viewing, sports watching experience. They can take it to a whole nother level. Obviously, the finals are now done, but baseball is in full swing. There's a lot going on, and Prize Picks just adds more to the fun. All right, how about this, folks? Every possession matters. Every at-bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish, and now you're not just watching anymore. Like I said, you got some juice in the game, and this is the best part about Prize Picks. It's so simple. It's so easy. You pick more or less on player stats. That's it. That's how you build your lineup. You can go with your favorite player on your favorite team, or you can get creative, mix and match across different sports, baseball, hockey, golf, whatever you're into, whatever's on. You can even get into the World Cup if you'd like to, right? That's the beauty of what our friends over at Prize Picks allow you to do. It's available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. Download the app, use the code HMA, and play $5, and they'll give you $50 in lineups instantly. The code is HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's just that simple. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play prospects. All right, thank you to our friends at Prize Picks. We got more super chats. How about this one from J-Mo? J-Mo, what's up, brother? We appreciate that. Says, Jerry, can you please explain in depth why Aggie is cleaning up in recruiting? Is it just NIL? They have never won anything. I really don't get it. Thank you for that super chat, J-Mo. Do they still have the #1 recruiting class in 2027 right now?
I mean, they do. And I think it's different. A lot of people are talking, it'll be just like Jimbo's #1. No, they're winning now. They got control of a different leader of a program. I'd say that. So some of the answer people aren't going to like, and some of the answer people will say, yeah. Texas A&M, in my opinion, should be a top 5 type of class almost every year, just like Texas, because they're one of the top 5 in NIL. So it's very important, obviously, and it's a major factor for Texas A&M. But that's not the only reason. I mean, we got to be real. They went to the college football playoff last year. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mike Elko's winning, and he's winning and getting to a playoff. And they had a ton of guys drafted last year. I mean, what was it? 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. And 11. A record number of guys at the combine.
Record number of guys at the combine. Yeah. So, I mean, when people look at – and they're doing it in the SEC. I mean, so they're open to recruiting nationally in the SEC. They're recruiting California harder than Texas is. So the reality of it is they should be good. And we've talked about it. I think it's unbelievably great for the Texas A&M rivalry because both those teams – should be in playoff contention every year unless they have major injuries. They should. That's just the reality for me because of where they're at in NIL and the conference they play in. And then you have the ability to go recruit nationally just like Texas does. And I will say this. It's a big step for that program to take the next couple of steps. And we'll see if Mike Elko can ultimately do that. But he is doing something that they haven't really been in contention for in a long time. And some fans would say ever. He's got that. People feel like they're in contention because they went to the playoffs, and they were in the playoff hunt before they faltered 2 years ago. And that A&M Texas game means so much. And that rivalry being back on national TV on its day only helps all this too. And but NIL is a big part of it. But I'll tell you the other part of it. They're willing to go battle nationally. A&M and Texas weren't willing to do that years ago prior to the SEC. They're both willing now to go compete nationally, and they have the juice to go win some big recruitments. And now they're putting a lot into their high school class this year too.
And what are your thoughts about what Colin Simmons said when he said that recently that he thought A&M was a bigger rival than Oklahoma? Just because of the way he's dominated Oklahoma, I imagine. But for him personally, I think he was just talking about him personally. I think this is what he was speaking of. But to your point, though, about the Aggies changing the conversation about their brand. They are doing that with some of the younger folks, is what I'm saying. Longhorn fans, we look at them like, little brother, Sark owns them, blah, blah, blah. But with the younger generation, kind of my point of bringing up the Colin Simmons thing, they do seem to be somewhat changing the narrative about, them being a prestigious football brand. Yeah. And like Larry says, they got all the resources. That's the crazy thing about that. They have all the resources of any big brand in the SEC. Like they should be, they don't have the accomplishments and accolades of a blue blood, but they got the money of a blue blood. They live in the same neighborhood as the blue blood. They drive the same cars as the blue blood.
They have an unbelievable recruiting base from Texas to Florida, and they're using it. Yeah, they should be one of the most talented teams in the country.
Yeah. So if they start winning, like Jerry says, they got a lot of the other stuff already in place. They just got to get the wins and give Elko some credit. Now, Elko's got to beat Sark. That's one of the big things on his list. He's got to beat Sark at one point.
Well, and he's got another big one now. Elko's got another big one now in front of him. He has to beat Texas, right?
Yeah.
But, their schedule this year, if you look at it, not that head-to-heads matter as much in recruiting anymore, but it's at LSU in Lane's first year, at Oklahoma, Venables. These guys recruit a lot of the same players, and there are some state rivalries in recruiting there. Plus, he's got Texas at home. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what Elko can't do this year, and it doesn't mean, again, Texas A&M has money and they're getting guys drafted. You can't lose all three of those this year, though, and expect to carry as much momentum as you had coming off a playoff appearance.
Yeah.
If you lost all three of those teams and missed the playoffs this year, obviously you're going to NIL enough of the recruitments to where you're going to be really good and you're going to have talent, you're going to have draft picks, but you would lose a little of the mo, I think, that they have right now.
Yep. And a lot of that is on Marcel Reed's shoulders too, him improving.
And Holman Wiggins.
Yeah.
First year calling plays.
Yes.
And the team that has the highest expectations.
Yeah.
For A&M and quite a while.
Yeah, they haven't exactly. They haven't dealt with expectations this high in Aggie land in a long time too. So give props to Elko for shifting the standard a little bit. All right, more super chats. Actually, before we do that, let's talk Eastern Raw. Can we do Eastern Raw thing, and then we'll come to the super chats. Let's hit the Eastern Raw nugget here, and then we'll get to the super chats. I promise you guys. But he did take another visit, Jerry. Should Longhorn fans be concerned about this? What's going on?
When he initially picked Texas, it was over Florida. He has familiarity with John Sumrall and 3 or 4 members of that Florida staff that were at Tulane. Obviously, he wasn't going to go to Tulane, but he has familiarity with them. He'd been on campus. They were showing interest, because you always show interest in players like that if you're at a program, because you might be moving up, right? So, and John Sumrall got that done. Florida's got a little mo his first year. I think they're doing exceptionally well in recruiting. I think Sumrall's a great energy guy, and kids like him. I think I can say this. I think Florida feels like they have a shot here. I think LSU feels like they have a shot here too. And now he comes to Texas. Now Easton Royal and his family comes to Texas this weekend. And look, it's one of those 3 programs. We all know it. Even when he was taking the unofficial visits to Ole Miss and to Tennessee, while some people even that cover Texas saying Ole Miss is a threat. Ole Miss was never a threat in this recruitment. It's always been 3 teams, and it was never going anywhere outside that. This has been Texas versus Florida versus LSU. And I think LSU's making a big run here, but I even think if they don't, win out this second part of this three. I think this recruitment has 3 quarters, let's say. I think we're in the second quarter. Even if LSU doesn't win now and he sticks with Texas or he flips to Florida, I think Texas still feels confident going into this weekend, but you still got to go finish the race. LSU's looking more to November. Getting them on campus for a game, couple of games, staying in there, hang around the rim, and get this thing to November leading up to signing day. LSU, whether Lane Kiffin's a first-year guy or not, Ed Orgeron's been through these battles for years in the SEC and in big major recruitments like this. Not that he's the head of the recruitment at all, but they know the game is late. You stay in the game. Sark hangs around the rim on guys they don't get initially. If Texas keeps him, Florida and LSU will keep recruiting him. I think he had a great visit to Florida this weekend. I don't see this kid having a bad visit to Texas, Florida, or LSU. I think they're all going to be great visits. And now it's up to Texas to hold serve. And if they hold serve, then I believe they'll keep Easton Royal. But again, I don't think even if he comes out late June, early in July and says, hey, I'm sticking with Texas, that recruitment's necessarily over. I think this is going to go. He's too talented. He's too good. This recruitment's going to end up going to November because that's the way it should be with these guys. I mean, just all you have to do is watch the tape and watch the track. I mean, but Florida, I think, that official always falls on this highlight. That guy's fallen like 50 times. I think we've watched this 50 times. That guy takes the same fall every time and never changes. But look, I think Florida feels like they have a shot here. Are they right? I don't know. The one thing Easton Royal said to CJ and I at the check-in of the Under Armour All-America game, we were down there for the Citrus Bowl, is he's always liked the idea of playing college football in Texas or Florida. Well, it's funny that Texas and Florida were the top two when he committed. Now LSU was in a coaching whirlwind at that time, right? Everybody knew kind of what was going to happen. So LSU's more of a factor now with Lane Kiffin. But I think it's up to Texas here to come hold serve this weekend. It's going to be a very talented group. Monshun Sales, who these are the top 2 receivers in the country, he's going to LSU midweek this week and then Texas this weekend. So that's of note, too. He was at Ohio State. He added the LSU visit midweek this week. So big weekend coming up for Texas. Obviously, Easton Royal is extremely important next weekend to Texas in this recruitment, and now it's up to them to hold serve while Florida and LSU are trying to surge as much as they can headed into Easton Royal's announcement, whether that's late June, early July, that, hey, this is where I'm planning on going. And he'll have to announce that, I think, 3 times in this recruitment, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. I wouldn't stop recruiting him.
No.
Like if he liked me even a little bit, I would not stop recruiting. Yeah,
because look, Summerall and Lane Kiffin are year 1 coaches. What if they go blow it out?
Yep.
What if Texas struggles?
I said, well, if you beat Texas, you beat Texas, that may sway it a little bit.
You stay in the fight and get with guys like this all the way until signing day. Bottom line.
Yep. You always say recruit to the whistle. I'm with you on that one, Jerry. Actually, Rod Baber's helmet. Oh, here we go. Super chat. This is Easton Royal related, so it'll fit right in. Hypothetical. Thank you, Rod Baber's helmet. Appreciate the super chat. Says hypothetical. For some reason, Easton decommits and we lose Coleman, Wingo, and Mosley to the draft. That would be a good thing. That means they had really good seasons.
Yeah, that means
what would our wide receiver core look like in 27? We in trouble?
No, I don't think Texas is. No, I just don't see wide receiver being in trouble at Texas. Look, if you lose Coleman, Wingo, and Mosley, that means you have 3 draft picks at wide receiver.
You balled out.
And you have 1 top 15 in Coleman, a first, second round guy in Wingo. If Wingo leaves this year, that means he's shown more consistency with his hands and route running more than likely, which should be a natural progression for him. And Texas has had so much success in the portal. I mean, look, Coleman and Mosley are portal guys.
Yeah.
A.D. Mitchell, Golden. I mean, we can keep going. No. And by the way, Texas will have a star in 27 in Jermaine Bishop, in my opinion.
Yeah. There was this came out maybe last week, actually. ESPN did wide receiver rankings. They basically did who were the best wide receivers behind Jeremiah Smith in college football. And they had Cam Coleman, I believe, ranked 3rd on that list. And they actually had Ryan Wingo in the top 10 too, at number 9.
I think pure talent, he's there.
I was surprised by that, but I shouldn't
But
be
I
because
think consistency, he's got a ways to go this year, something to prove to actually be that guy.
yeah, yeah.
And that's okay. Good. Go do it.
And what do you think Eastern Royal ranks in your opinion? Oh, there it is right there. That's why Matthew's the best in the business. Yeah, Indiana and Texas were the only ones with two wide receivers in that top 10. Hadn't started thinking about it, but in terms of best wide receiving duos in college football, Texas should be in that conversation all season long.
No doubt. No doubt. 100%. I
All season
totally
long.
agree with that. It also tells you, look, man, Texas recruited a lot of these guys, by the way. So that good eyes. Not that a lot of these guys were tough or difficult, but the KJ Duff kid at Rutgers is one people were hoping would go in the portal this year. A lot of schools were hoping he'd go in the portal. He's a pretty good player on a bad team or a struggling program.
Yeah.
But Malachi Tony, it's hard to argue with the top three. Even if you had Tony 3 and Cam Coleman 2, Malachi Tony's proven he's a great football player.
He really is, man.
He's just not draft eligible this year.
Yeah.
I mean, to do what he did as a freshman on national runner-up, as a guy who classed up, that would be like, Rod, that would be like Richard Wesley reclassing from 27 to 26, walking into Texas and saying, Lance Jackson, you're a good player. You're talented. Zena, you're pretty talented too. I'm going to go make 12 sacks. I'm going to go have 12 sacks my freshman year at Texas playing opposite Colin Simmons and force your way into being that guy.
Yeah.
That's essentially what Malachi Tony did at Miami last year.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective, how difficult that actually is.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is. All right. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Thank you for that super chat as well, Rod Davis Helmet. We appreciate it. All right. More super chats here. This one's from Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Another super chat says, Rod, if you had to as a player, what would you be trying to do to prepare for Ohio State to make sure we win? What would be your process? Man, as a player, I'm a DB, so that wide receiving core we're going up against. I mean, that to me, studying those guys, I need to know body language. I need to know tendencies. I need to know, trends in terms of what routes they are favored, in terms of what they, and think about it. I wouldn't know everything because they have a new offensive coordinator, but I would have to know the skill sets of those wide receivers up and down. I would have a very thorough, intricate scouting report on each one of those guys. And when I lined up against them on whatever down and distance it was, with all this time to prepare and having seen them, probably if I was on that team, I probably would have seen Ohio State either last year or the year before that. I would, like I said, I would be ready with as well prepared and as thorough scouting reports on those guys as I could get. Like, to me, that's what the offseason is for. Right. Now you got to work on your craft yourself. When you got a big game like that, you really can give yourself a huge advantage preparation-wise. In terms of, obviously, game plan is different. Muschamp will have the game plan. As a player, I can still do film study to learn the tendencies of a player. Like, I can study the scheme too if I want to, but like I said, you got a new play caller, so the scheme may vary, may be a little bit different. But I can study the players. I can study what they do on deep balls. I can study how they run certain routes. They run a 6 route like this, and they run the comeback. So I would spend a lot of my time in the offseason, especially this day and age, the technology they have. Back in my day, it was tough. You had VHS tapes you had to get into. These days, you just get it, boom, call Cincy, I'm sure, on some kind of iPad or something like that. And I would know my opponent intimately.
Yeah.
I would know him intimately. Quarterback.
When you have months to prepare, to your point, when you have months to prepare for a team, for a game, you're with analytics out there and advanced scouting and all the people you have in the department nowadays at these major universities, it's hard for anybody to ever get to the podium and say, oh, they did something, that guy was better than we thought, or he did something we weren't expecting. I mean, there's too much in analytics. There's too much in advanced scouting. Everybody's got former NFL scouts as their department, part of their department now, and they're not just looking at portal players. Obviously, either. So it's hard for me to think that you can't have looked at every route that Smith has run at Ohio State.
Yep.
And say,
yep,
here's one thing to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing we've noticed.
Yep.
Like, it's just there's too much at your disposal. The disposal now, not to be totally prepared if you have months to prepare for a player or an opponent. Julian Sand, same thing.
Same thing. Same thing. Yep.
What route does he throw most on 2nd and 9?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What route does his footwork break down?
Mm-hmm.
You should know everything about these guys. Everything. You have too many months to prepare. You're not going to prepare for Texas State like you are Ohio State.
Agreed. Yep. I would take that extra time and I would dive deep into the opponent, not the game plan because you don't have that yet, but the opponent. You can do a lot to, as a player, win that chess match, that individual chess match with another player by learning their tendencies and learning what their weaknesses and strengths are. So that's probably what I would do. And I probably wouldn't do it with, every opponent, but I probably would pick out like the best. Like I said, Texas State has 2 good 1,000-yard receivers. I probably would do a little extra prep on Texas State's wide receivers because they're legit. Ohio State's wide receivers. Jerry brought up Florida wide receivers. I probably would do some prep on those quarterbacks. Chambliss, I'd be doing some deep dive on Chambliss. So considering the offenses you're playing, I think as a defender, what I would do, I'm gonna get to know my opponent.
Yeah,
like really get to know him.
Yeah. I mean, look, to that point, and I'll say it now because he's not here, because if he was here, I'd never say I had that. I got to watch this, but I watched Chris Beard when he was at Texas do a scouting breakdown, and I was there of an opponent they were playing. And I was shocked, even though we think and talk about this, the level of detail that went into each player.
Yeah.
How many times does Team X run monster double on the catch for a post player? The monster double is big guarding big, and then they bring the other big to double. What percentage of time did this team do that over the last however many games? I mean, the analytics and the breakdown is off the charts now.
It really is. Yeah. Like I said,
every player in every scenario, and I was like, one, I'm not sure all these kids can remember this, but it's great work. Because when you get in the heat of the moment, you're not always going to remember.
No. Yeah. You got to break it down into like very digestible little tidbits for guys. But that little nugget, you'd be surprised how it could come back and help you in a crucial, critical moment. All right. Thank you for that super chat, though. That's a good question. How about this one from Juan? Thank you. Juan says, Texas Tech is doing it too, like A&M. What you mean, like recruiting? You talking about recruiting? Is that what we're talking about, Juan? They're Texas Tech. I said, one of their biggest accomplishments. I'm not taking up for Tech. Don't think I'm doing that. People have thought that before, and I've gotten in trouble. But I'm not taking up for them. But one of their big accomplishments in them trying to reinvent themselves, rebrand themselves, what they're doing. And I think they were doing a good job until they kind of went off a cliff here recently. But they made themselves a disruptor in recruiting because everybody had to get that Tech offer because it was such an absurd offer because they usually would outspend, everybody else. They're offering, and they admitted like, hey, we offer more because everybody doesn't want to come live in Lubbock and they want to come live in West Texas, and they know that, so they offer more, and they're not ashamed of that. But because of that, they have made themselves a disruptor where players who wouldn't normally be interested in Texas Tech, players of that ilk, have now said, no, I'll listen. I'm willing to listen to you, Tech. Yeah, and that is an accomplishment because everybody's not in those conversations.
Yeah. Taking away the ridiculous hypocrisy going on right now.
Yes.
We don't need to go into that again. It'll pop up again soon, I'm sure, sometime this week. But the reality for them, and that's a good point that was made, they had the most draft picks ever by far at Texas Tech this year. No matter what you think of how they did it, they still appeared in the college football playoff. They're doing things they've never done before. So, and people know, and prospects and portal guys know, I can go get paid there too.
Yep.
They got the 3 things going for them you want to have going for you right now. You're more than competitive in NIL. You got in the college football playoff, and you had the most guys drafted ever. Those are 3 pretty good selling points in recruiting.
That's the boxes you got to check right there.
They're able to check them.
All right, let's get to a few more questions, and then I got a couple of topics as we get closer to the end of things. Let's get to a couple of questions here. How about this one from John Adams? Says, does Caleb Seiler project as a left tackle in college? Thanks.
I would say he just projects as a tackle, and you see where it goes once he goes, either whether that's Northwestern or Texas. I think you see where it goes. I mean, look, I think there's, from a Trevor Gooseby perspective, he practiced at both at Texas, right? And then he proved out this guy's got left tackle feet, body quickness, reactive quickness, athleticism, and he was going to be able to defend the backside of the quarterback in pass pro. And I think it'd be easy for some people to say, oh, Caleb Seiler, even if he goes to Northwestern or Texas, whatever, oh, he's a left tackle, no doubt. Well, the college coaches aren't looking at it like that all the time. Cameron Williams cross-trained 1 day a week at left tackle while developing as a right tackle. I mean, these guys everybody thinks these college coaches have all these guys circled and penciled in. I mean, Kelvin Banks was going to be a left tackle, right? There's always exceptions to the rule, but I think people would be surprised, especially at those developmental positions, how often they don't truly have them penciled in at a position. They say, well, this will be decided once this guy gets on campus and starts developing.
Okay. All right. That's a good point. Antoine wants to know, Jerry, who's the third wide receiver in this class?
I think Texas has had a great visit with Kyron Brown out of Amarillo, Palo Duro. I think he's got really good speed. Big fan of where that kid can go as a player. So I think right now he's the leader, easily the leader in the clubhouse to do that. And we'll see when we'll see when that decision comes down. I think it's supposed to be late June, maybe June 23rd for him, which is 9 days out. Sometimes those decisions move around, but I think Texas did well with Kyron Brown this weekend.
All right, good. Thank you for that question. Appreciate it. How about this one from CB? Jerry, does airport security know you by name as often as you're at AVI? Yeah, dude, you got to know people there by now because you're there a lot.
Thankfully, no. I thankfully no. As I don't have to come in disguise yet, show up in disguise. No, there's a couple of people that I think are starting to get familiar, but nothing that worries me yet.
All right, thank you, CV. Appreciate that. Katie, 35 on best. Jerry, of the 3D linemen for Texas, of Alexander, Shoemaker, and Turner, who you think Texas ultimately gets?
Too early to know. Let's see Alexander's visit next weekend. He's had some big boy visits. Georgia and Notre Dame the last 2 weekends. Shoemaker goes to Colorado. Turner, I would say right now, Turner might be the least likely if staying close to home becomes the difference maker. And I think there's some thoughts that it's getting to be more important as it gets closer to a decision. If that happens, he'd be the least likely, obviously.
All right. Thank you for that one. Brandon. Brandon's got another super chat. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that super chat. He wants to know, say, Jerry, what do you expect of Arch this season if the O-line is decent? Yeah, just decent, because last year they were not. They were
if he has a healthy season and his receiver core has a healthy season, I would expect him to be in New York in contention. That's kind of what I expect. And I would think that's probably the expectation for him in Austin.
I think so. Yeah. The last guy Texas had on offense that had the expectation was Bijan, and he didn't get there, and he should have been there. Like, Bijan was that good. Like, we all knew Bijan
wasn't that good, right? They weren't good enough.
Yeah, the team wasn't good enough, but Bijan, we're like, no, Bijan's good enough. And you see now in the league, Bijan's in the conversation to be the best running back in the league, right?
Yeah.
And we all knew that was the case. Arch has that kind of ceiling as a player, so it would be a disappointment if they don't ultimately, as a team, help him reach his ceiling, which is, he should be in the conversation to be the best player in the country, which is what the Heisman is. So I agree with you.
Part of me kind of hopes, wonders, Rod. I hope we have more rush attempts than pass attempts this year. I hope it looks like some of Steve Sarkisian's past teams where you're at 52, 53% run, 47, 48 pass, because that means Texas is winning games. They're winning games probably late with the run, and Sark's in control of what he can do offensively. And I think that ultimately makes Arch an even better player.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that too.
I mean, if we look up and it's 53 pass, 47 run, I'm not sure that's great for the Texas team or Arch Manning necessarily.
I will say that I think normally you're right, because I think Sark ultimately likes to open up with the pass and kind of close out games with the run. That would mean the games went according to plan for Sark.
Yes.
Right, where he basically ended up closing out with the run game, and that's where you get your slightly over 50%. Because most of the game, he's just saying, hey, I'm just pounding the run, and I just want to close his team out, and I'm going to pound him into submission. But the exception is a lot of people are comparing this Texas team, not saying it, but I do think there are some similarities to that LSU squad from 2019. And that squad was, I think, close to 50, probably 54% pass heavy. And Sark has had a higher pass rate every year he's been at Texas. Ever since he lost Bijan and Rojo, he's been more pass happy than he has. So I don't know if he's going to go back because he's got two good running backs now. Or
maybe that's the whole thing, Rod. If the running backs room stays healthy.
Yep. It makes it maybe because remember nobody expected Trey Wisener to be Trey Wisener that year.
Right.
So maybe you're right, Jay. If the running back room stays healthy, maybe Sark always is going to be 53% run guy, ideally, And
let me ask you something, Rod. How much does this schedule dictate that? Are you going to actually play to keep the ball out of Chambliss's hands a little bit? I mean, it probably depends on how a game's going, but you could come up against some opponents this year where running the football means more than running the football. It means we don't want this guy out there getting an extra possession.
That's a great point. I talked to Muschamp, and literally Muschamp brought that up. He said, I love Sark because Sark likes to run the ball, which I kind of as a defensive guy, he was thinking, hey, it means I'm less exposed defensively. Yes. I'm protected by an offensive mind who wants to play more, Sark always called it complementary football. And he said, honestly, that's why he said it's tough to go against Sark, is because he's stubborn about running the ball. I would kind of disagree on that sometimes, but that's what so much time say. He said he's stubborn about running the ball. Even if I shut it down, I can't assume that he's not going to keep running. Right.
Because if you're a DC, you want that. You want Texas and Sark throwing at 60, 62%.
One-dimensional. Yeah.
That means you beat them. They can't run the football, and they know it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to play against the one-dimensional team. What you don't want to do is play against a team that's running it really well, and then you're not sure when they're going to throw it on you.
Yeah. No, you're right about that.
You're really exposed, like you said. And I think that's going to be a big deal this year is can Texas, and that's part of running the football too, can Texas run the ball well enough and when they want to and when they need to, while also part of a game plan, because you do play against really good quarterbacks and offensive coaches this year, to limit those guys' ability and limit maybe a possession in certain games. That's why I think running the football is going to be really important for Texas this year. Because if you just you could get into a game with Trinidad Chambliss where it's going this way, quick drives back and forth. We know that guy's the clutch gene. Do you really want him with the ball late when he's having a big day?
No.
Yeah. That's not what you're looking for in Austin.
Yeah. No, I've been watching that dude. I've watched some Chambliss film, and he's got some freaky tools for a guy that's kind of undersized, but he's got the clutch gene. Does have the clutch gene. All right. Before I know we're getting close to it, the end of things, a couple of more questions. Archmania 16. How many more highs? Okay.
I threw one out today, so we got a couple.
Okay.
But by the way, a couple of highs from today. Reese Atwood said goodbye to Najee Kennedy's pitches in her first pro game. By the way, so it wasn't high, it was bye. She waved bye to the balls today when she was smoking them off Najee Kennedy. If you didn't see that, Rod, first pro game for Atwood and Najee Kennedy, she took her deep twice.
I was about to say, it happened twice. Okay, yeah, I saw the second one it came across my timeline. I was like, damn, it happened twice. I was like, man, that's some devastating irony.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to one last question here before we end things. Marco Mendez says, Rod, how does the secondary practice communication during the summer to be prepared for the fall camp? Honestly, that's why 7-on-7 is a beautiful thing. And I don't know, I know they don't do it now because programs are way too sophisticated. And I'm sure now they have enough guys on the roster where they can do it. We would do 7-on-7 with each other. And then we would actually have this, the Texas State guys, Southwest guys. We do pretty heated 7-on-7 with them in the off seasons. I don't know how publicly known that was, but I don't know who arranged it, but it would get pretty heated, as you could imagine. And we do kind of 7-on-7 for them like a couple of times, a few times in all season, just to get the competitive juices flowing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was respectable. Nobody was just trying to play dirty or anything like that. But 7-on-7 is the best way to do it, just because you as a secondary can still make your checks and your audibles. For the most part, all right, depending on the coverage. And that's basically what you want to make sure that, because in the game, you can be screaming at stuff. The truth is, I don't know how often you can actually hear your fellow secondary in the game. You should be saying it, but I don't know if they can actually hear you.
Right.
The reason is, you're supposed to have this muscle memory at that point. Oh, check. Oh, motion. Watch the crack. All this kind of stuff. You're kind of talking to yourself. And you still should yell out those checks, but you guys should be hive-minded by the time you get to game time.
It's why the best secondaries, Rod, to me, the best secondaries, it's about having that athletic talent level you need, but it's about being studiers of the game.
2024. That 2024 secondary was tough, man.
It's about instincts and actually having a mind for the game and studying. It can be as a group preparing for a game. But that to me is, it's just like, communicate on defense and basketball. When you're in Madison Square Garden and it's that rowdy, you're not going to get all five guys on the same page, communicating all the same time, playing defense in a scenario like that.
Yeah.
You have to really study. You have to be a film person. You have to be a film group, I think, Rod.
Yeah. Yep. I love
it. There's something to being said for being great athletes, but what takes you to the next level?
Nope. That's what that 2024 secondary was really good. Very few busted coverages. And how often did we see Makuba or even Jade or even a Michael Taft come over as a secondary or tertiary defender to make a play in the secondary because they were all so knowledgeable and they were all had such great instincts in that secondary. That was some of my favorite Texas secondaries, man, because they were so buttoned up. Really great eyes. That's probably was their strength overall as a group. They all had really good eyes, man. Eyes always in the right place. All right, before we get out of here, Jerry, would you do us a favor and tell us about our friends over at Vaughn Lane and their fantastic service they provide?
Yeah, new route, no stress. If you're in the Woodlands or North Houston and you've ever driven to Austin for work, a meeting at the Capitol, or weekend on campus, you know the drill. 3+ hours on 290 construction zones, and you show up drained before your day even begins. Vaughn Lane just launched a new route between Austin and the Woodlands that changes all of that. You sit back in a first-class leather seat, connect to Starlink Wi-Fi, and arrive ready to go. And Longhorn football fans, you can now book game day trips through October. So get on it. They'll be filling up fast. For Austin folks, the Woodlands route opens up easy access to concerts, family visits, and business in the area, all without battling that Houston traffic yourself. And unlike airlines, Vaughn Lane doesn't charge you extra for a seat assignment, your luggage, or Wi-Fi that barely works. You get 22 oversized leather seats, Starlink internet that actually is fast, complimentary snacks, drinks, hot towel service, and meals on select departures. You walk into a hotel terminal, skip the TSA circus, and ride in comfort. That's it. No games. Vaughn Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, and Atlanta. Head to VaughnLane.com and enter promo code OTF26 for $20 off your first ride. What is Vaughn Lane? It's a private jet on wheels. If anybody's asking why they don't service Lubbock, they can't get the stench out of the seats.
Oh man!
You lose too many buses, man. Those things are expensive.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Okay, last one here because actually I kind of want to know about this too. I saw this over the weekend. Hey Jerry, this is from Doug. Hey, Jerry, what's the latest on John Meredith III high school eligibility? Also, his status with Texas Hook'em. Yo, what the hell happened?
Yeah, so he moved from Euless Trinity to North Crowley. So Euless Trinity, obviously up near DFW Airport, North Crowley down in Fort Worth. So his move was challenged. They're saying he moved for athletic purposes, and so he got denied by Texas UIL. That's not the end of this. And I know everybody's like, "Oh, we're talking about lawyer time and everything." This has been done many times in UIL. You can challenge that. You can appeal that, right? I think that will be the next thing. A couple of 3 months ago, I heard, oh, he'll just go out of state to an IMG or something. I'm not sure that's really the number one plan. We'll see where it goes. I think there will be an appeal to this and try to go down the appeal path first because I think he wants to stay and play his senior year close to his family in North Crowley, and then we'll see where that goes. If he loses an appeal, then you have a decision to make. Do you go to an IMG or do you go somewhere or do you train?
Wow. Is that, I mean, I guess you could just train the whole.
He's a midterm graduate.
Yeah.
I don't like missing senior season.
I don't like that. Trust me, as a guy who at the NFL level, I kept getting injured at 3 shoulder surgeries. Man, it sets you back so much to miss reps.
Yeah.
In actual football. I'm telling you, man. You
train, but it's never the same.
It's never the same. You can do all the great training you can do. It's nothing like actual football reps to help you get better. So I would not recommend sit out and train. I would go play somewhere, young man. Go play. You ain't got to play the whole season if you don't want to. I know you worth a lot of money. I get that. But go somewhere and go get you 6-8 games in and go work your craft, man. That's what I would recommend. Go play somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, guys. Good show. Thank you, Matthew, behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Appreciate all of his hard work. Thanks to our sponsors, Prize Picks and Fun Lane. Thanks to each and every one of you out there for the super chats, and thank you as well for all the participation. If you want the real 411, all right, if you want the true details and the nuggets, go over to OwenTexasFootball.com. Boom. That's why Matthew's the best. $3 for 3 months of the best coverage of Texas football you will get anywhere. If you're a ball on the budget, you won't beat that deal. It's pennies on the dollar right there. $3 for 3 months for new subscribers only for a limited time right now. Go check it out at OwenTexasFootball.com. Actually, we got a super chat here. Oh, man.
It's our Ohio State fan.
What's up, fellas? Go Knicks, go Bucks, says 91226. Rent is due. Y'all are going to be shocked. Salute to OTF. Salute to you, brother. OHOIO. He says, and by the way, JJ is the best wide receiver in America by a mile. That is true. I agree with you on that. There ain't no doubt about that.
This is a great way to end the show because if people that haven't watched, for the people that did watch, Jalen Brunson.
Wow.
Who you want every athlete ever to be. And here's why I say that.
Yep.
He has completely maximized his ability. He has mastered his craft. You will not see a player that is 6'1", 6'1.5", and not a high-end athlete be that complete. I mean, Steph Curry is just a great, great shooter. He's even on different. Jalen Brunson has everything in his bag. Isaiah Johnson's dad, a college coach, anybody would ever teach a player, and he can execute it in the game. Masterclass of maximizing one's talent. I'm a big fan of the guy. Oh, and by the way, Rod, we talk about this, the instincts and that love for the sport. Won a state championship, won a national championship, and won an NBA championship.
Man,
you don't do that without being a great competitor.
Yeah, you're right. Took less money too, so he bet on himself.
That guy's maximized every ounce of what he has.
That's real.
Every ounce in every way, he's maximized it all. That's if parents are on it, that's what you hope your kid does. If you're a fan of sports, that's what you hope your team and the players do. We very rarely see what Jalen Brunson's done.
And now he's a made man in New York City. Sits down, gets the same reservations that Derek Jeter and Eli Manning can get as a man who won a title in New York City. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great story. It is good stuff. Good stuff there, Jerry. All right, you'll get more of that on Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be at 8:15. It'll be Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton. And also we'll have your Monday night live stream, The Winning Drive, the primetime edition, myself, Coach Bob Shipley, and CJ Vogel. That'll be promptly at 7 p.m. Thank you, Jerry, for Jerry and for Matthew, and for our sponsors, Prize Picks and Von Lane. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, Hook 'em Horns.